Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragons Den. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being here every week, for supporting me, supporting my guests, and sharing, liking, and passing the word out so that others can also see the different guests, hear about them, and you never know who may have some type of a healing event due to what my guest is saying. So, with that being said, we have a phenomenal guest today. His name is Adam Apollo, and I just want to give the floor back to him and let him take it from there. So,
Mm,
thank
Glenda. Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be in your dragon's den.
thank
As
you.
a dragon myself, I tend to hunt down our allies and friends and those that are here really in service to Gaia and planetary stewardship and the well-being of all life and the sovereignty of all beings. And so it's a rare yet beautiful juncture when out of the blue we get a chance to meet someone else who obviously cultivates that same space and that same energy. So thanks for having
Thank,
me today.
thank you for being here. It's great. It's great. So, our my audience always loves to hear about my guests and how they were growing up and what brought them to where they are now.
Yeah. Well, as a little kid, I grew up with two amazing parents. They were not religious. They were very exploratory, kind of hippies, and I was born in Oakland, California. My parents traveled around quite a bit until I was almost 2 years old, and they realized they're better best friends than they were as partners. And so they divorced. My mom ended up in northern New Mexico in a little town called Red River, and my dad ended up in Austin, Texas. He was a musician, drummer for a lot of people that your audience might recognize from way back in the day. And Steve Earle, Walter Hyatt, people like that. And my mom became a ski instructor and worked in this little town. And I started skiing before I could even walk. And the experience of skiing and my kind of natural ability at it really, I think, jump started some of my own development because there was an experience of flow in that. And I experienced that state of flow when I was skiing. I would experience it sometimes doing BMX biking, um, but I didn't understand it. And it took at first, having friends doing martial arts and me trying to take martial arts classes and always feeling like the teacher was doing it wrong to start to kind of get a hint that there was something different about
Mm-hmm.
me. And I found that no matter how good my friends got at martial arts, I could always match them. Like my friend would come back and he'd be celebrating because he just got his new belt and he'd want to show off all his moves. And I would just meet him right there. There was also a moment where I was in Austin and my dad went to a friend's house and there was a sword on the wall. And I remember that sword so vividly, so clearly. I wanted to take that sword off the wall more than anything else I could imagine. And yet I don't remember anything else about that house. I don't remember anything else about even who this friend of my dad's was or why he had this, Templar sword on his wall. But it was it was emblazoned in my own consciousness. And as I got older, swords, martial arts, these facets, these states of flow, all of these things started to come through when I was 15. And I, realized that I have an energy body around me. I was a really kind of depressed kid as a teenager. My stepmom died in a car accident. My stepbrother was driving. He hit a car head on, killed a family of four, killed my stepmom, and killed his fiance that he had just met, her entire family in Italy. And that was around 10 years old. And that led to a whole sequence of sort of my nature questioning everything. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
could this happen? What is God if there is one? Why does all of this exist? And why do I feel like my teachers are lying to me half the time? Why do I feel like they don't actually know the truth? And when I discovered that I had this energy field, everything changed. Suddenly it was like, oh my gosh, like this is something I can test. It's something I can work with. I can show anyone that this exists. And yet it's not in our science. It's not in our school teachings. It's completely missing from our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I very quickly found myself integrating what I now call an Akashic library that I built for myself across many, many lifetimes. But I didn't even know I was getting it across lifetimes. I was questioning reincarnation. I was questioning, like, do we come back? Why would we? Should we? I mean, do we just go up to a heaven or do we just go to a hell? Like, what is all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And then through, starting in those high school years, I had a couple flashback experiences where I experienced a memory from another time so vividly that I couldn't shake it. And by the time I got into college, I ended up essentially dating this girl, and I'm in her dorm room with her roommate, who I'd felt this weird connection with the first time I saw her. But I ended up dating her roommate because we're at these parties together, and this whole, just kind of the whole thing unfolded that way. And I'm in the dorm room and I look over at my girlfriend's roommate who's sitting on her bed, and I'm sitting talking to these two friends of mine, drinking a cup of coffee. And all of a sudden, I'm in a medieval ballroom and I can smell the burning of the oil lamps. I can feel the mustiness of the tapestries hanging
Mm-hmm.
along the walls. I could feel my ornamental armor hanging on me, like the structure of the armor and the leather straps where it was kind of digging into my collarbone. And I didn't care. It felt normal. And I had a sword hanging at my side. And I'm talking with these two lords about protecting a specific valley where we'd been exchanging grain and gold and different goods, and we keep getting ambushed. So I'm thinking about where we can place archers and scouts along the valley to ensure that that doesn't happen anymore. And I'm having this conversation while I look over at this gorgeous woman with her hair up and a beautiful ball dress, and she's giggling and laughing with her two ladies. And I know I'm smitten. I'm so in love with this woman. I want to have children with her. I want to marry her. And then all of a sudden I'm back in the dorm room, and it's my girlfriend's room, you know, and have no
Tricky there.
idea.
Tricky there.
Totally tricky. I have no idea what I was just saying to my two friends. And they're looking at me going, Apollo, like, are you okay? And I'm like, I think I need some water. So I get up, I kind of disorientedly walk out into the hall, going out to this little water fountain that was in the dorm building's, elevator area,
Right.
drinking some water. And I come back in and I look into the bathroom as I come back into the dorm room, and she's in there washing her face off. And she looks up at me with these eyes. And I was like, she's like, oh my God, did you? And I was like, you did too? And she's like, and I was just like, oh crap. So, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the beginning of a journey for me where essentially that was the first spark where I had something that was so visceral, I couldn't shake it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had dreams with her after that, like almost every night. And then I saw her across the quad, and she's a Japanese woman with a basket behind her head walking into a village. And I knew her husband had bought her, and she was a geisha, and I was in love with her as a geisha, and he bought her. It was sold to this guy who was running this village, and he beat her every night. And I didn't remember at that point, but later I remembered essentially killing him in that
Mm-hmm.
courtyard. And that's when I was in Japan. My name in that life was Tokugawa Tadanaga. It's one of the lifetimes I've been able to actually identify specifically my journey, who I was, when I lived, and all of that. And that's where, sort of the height of the science of this work of exploring past lives can start to get really clear. But I just in those college years, had so many experiences. A guy gets drunk at a Halloween party, starts crying and apologizing to me, calling me by a name from a past life in the Middle Ages, and apologizing to me for trying to come and take my woman and burn my villages and laid siege to my castle. And he and I killed each other in my courtyard. And when that happened, that was like, oh, okay, so there's no fantasies here. This is literally, it could be a third party. It could be a random person who just remembers me.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, and that memory comes forward, it has harmonic resonance and energy. It's got a visceral experience. I viscerally experienced what it was like to battle him in that courtyard and to kill each other. And I woke up the next day with hives all over my body, and he woke up the next day like super sick, couldn't go to class for days. So it's not about what's in the mind, it's about the actual harmonic reconnection with ourselves through time.
Right.
And I became a very avid explorer of past life memory and the facets of myself, the aspects of the consciousness I've held through time. And that's what came to lead me to write the two books that I've written, which is The Dragon Key, which I think you'd also enjoy, and my most recent one, which is just now being published by Sacred Stories, which is called Lifetimes. And this one is really accessible, really easy. It's kind of like, if you've ever heard of it, have you ever had a past life memory or not, you can pick up this book, you can start exploring it, and you can start integrating the skills that you have across lifetimes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Um, and growing up, you must have been like, what just happened? What? And,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't understand that you have no choice. When it happens, it just happens. And
Yeah.
there are times where you can talk about it, and there are times where you have to say, yeah, no, I'm just going to keep quiet on this one and wait and see what happens later, see how people are taking certain things. And
Right.
because then
Right.
it could be a very lonely life. If,
Yes.
yeah, so.
Well, that's so true, and it's so sad. I think that for so many people,
Hmm.
they've had those moments where they knew somebody. Like
Hmm.
you can't really shake it. Everybody meets people where you have this strange feeling like you've just known them forever,
Hmm.
and it could be really good or it could be really bad, right?
Right.
Like sometimes it's like, oh God, no, like that person and I do not trust them at all. I have no idea why I don't trust
Right.
them, but I
Right.
don't. And it's probably because you guys killed each other. You had some, conflict in the past,
Right.
battle in the past, betrayal, war, all of those things.
Hmm.
But when it's really good and there's all this trust and there's all this connection, there's so many times that we've been conditioned by our society and culture to just simply ignore it. Just,
Hmm.
oh, like, you know, that was weird,
Yeah.
and then just move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're missing this incredibly deep, beautiful wellspring.
Hmm.
And it's not about repeating what we experienced in the past. It's not about having the same relationship. For
Right.
example, maybe if they were our wife or our lover or whatever, or if they
Right.
were our parent, obviously we're not supposed to have a parent relationship again with them, right?
Right.
So it's not about repeating that, but it is about allowing the love and the connection and the beauty of the trust that you've built with that person to come back through your body now.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, if there is a challenge or a little karma or a little gift, or whether good or bad, whatever that looks like, and you start to really accept that part of you and that aspect of you, you also get the skills from that lifetime.
Hmm.
That's the really cool and exciting part, is by looking at your past lives, accepting them and healing them, you actually gain each of the skills and superpowers that you developed in those lifetimes. That's one of the reasons why I have all these weapons hanging on the wall over there, is because I have all those skills back in this life, as well as calligraphy, as well as
Right.
poetry, as well as bardism, barding and singing song, on the fly. I can make up
Mhm.
a song. Like, there are many, many things that I never learned in this life, but that I've had the great fortune to be able to recultivate and to bring back into
Right.
this time.
Right. Which is what, a lot of people call natural gifts.
Exactly.
And that they are natural. You have
Yes,
cultivated them and you already have had them. Now you're just bringing them forward,
that's right.
basically. So,
That's right.
so what made you write the first book? Let's just say the dragon one.
Yeah. Well, I knew that I had to at some point. I mean, I knew there's some reason why I needed to write down my lifetime. So
Mm-hmm.
I did it partially for me to actually understand some of my lives and some of the memories that I had better.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, when I started having galactic past life memories, which
Mm-hmm.
happened after my contact experience in 2005, where I met a physical extraterrestrial being in the middle of the desert. Talk about a life changing moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell that whole story on Gaia TV. If any of you have a membership there and you want to check it out, you can just search my name, Adam Apollo, and those interviews are in a show called Interviews with Ed,
Mm-hmm.
which is Extra Dimensionals. But it's Ruben Langdon's show. It's a great show, lots of amazing channelers, and I tell my story as a seeker and as a scientist, having this experience, and my own journey with metaphysics and energy and lifetimes and self-discovery, and studying it
Mm-hmm.
because I needed to scientifically understand this stuff, not just go through it. I
Right.
needed to be able to validate this stuff and really get there. So when I had that galactic experience, it opened up for me these galactic past life memories from other worlds and other planets. And when it's that level with no tether to the earth context,
Mm-hmm.
you're a different species, you're on a different planet, there's a different sun, there's different kinds of technology advancement. It's very easy for us to gaslight ourselves out of those
Mm-hmm.
levels of consciousness. Fortunately, I'd met a physical ET being, so I knew, and I could feel in my body and in my energy, I could feel the harmonic truth of what I was seeing. But I
Beautiful.
also needed to write it down and process it and document as well the people that I met that I had memories with from that time. And so as I did that documentation work, I started to have a library of some of my earliest galactic lives. And I started to understand what happened with the dragons, why they came to this galaxy, what happened with the Orion Wars, and where the Draco reptilians came from,
Mm-hmm.
and the hybridization that created that whole project and why it led it to war, and then also how that war ended and the journey I went on as a soul to heal from that time, and how sexuality was a big part of my own healing, and how guardianship became such a deep part of my soul and who I am, and how my purpose became very, very clear by having these memories and seeing this connection. And so when I got to a certain stage, I realized I could not keep that knowledge to myself. It wasn't enough to just talk about it. I needed to create an experience for people to actually see what I went through and know I get it, and also learn so much about their own past lives in the galaxy and different planets and different species through someone who's not just channeling, not just hoping that what comes out is true,
Mm-hmm.
but is actually studying my relationships with all these different people who all have different memories. And so when you get the Dragon Key, this is the special edition book, which has about 150 full color, full illustrations in it. It's a really, really beautiful book. Um, but as you go through this book,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find at the end of each of the lifetimes, I have a list of all of the people that I knew from that life. So, and also that have remembered me or that I've shared memories with. So, for example, this is the list at the end of my dragon section, the dragon
Mm-hmm.
chapter, my dragon lifetime. And that's really, truly, this is a small excerpt of all of the dragons that I've actually reconnected with who know they're dragons. And so I do that to help people have this sense you're not alone
Right.
at all. You
Mm-hmm.
might think you're alone, but you're only feeling that way because you haven't been willing to be honest about your experience with others yet.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are honest fully and fully transparent about what it is you're really experiencing as you journey through life, you will be met by the soul family that you've been on that journey with.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. Uh, it's like people say to me, "Oh, when did you get out of the closet, so to speak?" And I'm like, "I've always been there. It's just now I talk about it. That's all.
Yeah.
I've always been out. Let's just talk about it now." And then, and some distant family members are like going, "We always knew you could do that." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but now I'm talking about it. Now it's valid."
Yeah, exactly. You have to accept that part of yourself, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where could they find that book? Just so.
Yeah, so you can find out about that book at thedragonkey.com.
Okay.
I just published it last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but this one is, this is one's intimate. You can intimately get to know me, and it's raw. And I was inspired by a few other authors who really were willing to go there into the space of explicitness around sensuality and sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I self-published, so I didn't have to deal with all the constraints of a publisher and trying to shove me into a genre.
Mm-hmm.
And the book is really three parts. The first is the story of me having these memories going,
Mm-hmm.
what the actual is going on.
Right.
Like, oh my God. So you get that, and you get all these I kind of skip through time, and you get all these moments
Right.
that you can see like what I went through. And then the second part of the book is I do the first real deep dive into the science of it and
Mm,
understanding like what trying to understand my own experience
right.
as fully and deeply as I can. And then I take you actually into the raw, pure first person stories of my experiences as a dragon, as a Shiheli, and as a Tiara Danan, and then as a Pleiadian is where I kind of leave it. And it's the first of a 4-book series that I'm continuing to write. And in the second book, I go from being the Pleiadian to being an elf in the Syrian star system, and then choosing to come to Earth for Atlantis, and then experiencing what happened after the cataclysm and coming back, and my work with the Tuatha De Danann, and then that leads to many other lives that I will tell the stories of and parts of the stories of over these next books in the series. So it's the beginning of a long journey, but in itself, it's a very powerful codex.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Yeah.
thedragonkey.com for that one.
I'm going to go get that one. Now, the lifetimes
Yes.
book.
Yes.
Speak
So
about that.
after I published the Dragon Key, the group at Sacred Stories reached out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was such an honor to be invited into this series, this Common Sentience series.
Mm-hmm.
Many of my sort of heroes, the people that I think of as being really, really great spiritual teachers, Neil Donald Walsh, for one, Anadea Judith, Freddie Silva,
Mhm.
William Henry, um, Suzanne Gleesman. There's all of these incredible, wise wisdom holders and teachers who are part of this series. And so, yeah, it was really an honor to be invited to do this book with them, and to be a part of that set. And I saw the need to create something that really, like, it doesn't matter how deep in your path you are,
Mhm.
whether you're just beginning, you're just waking up, you've never really picked up a spiritual book before or been into past life books. Like, even if you're there, you can pick
Mhm.
up this book and it will change your life. And if you're advanced, it's going to richen and empower you with very specific techniques and skills and approaches to these things that you probably haven't got before, including understanding how memory works, how memory is structured in the fabric of space-time, what the actual Akashic records are, how all of that works, how past life memory actually works.
Mhm.
So if you're more advanced along the path, it becomes a really cool toolkit for you to gain the language and the science and the understanding to be able to onboard other people, to help people who are waking up,
Right.
and who are having these experiences, to ground them and to understand them. So this one's more like it's like a quick, dirty manual with like deep dives into the science. And then the other joy of this book is that the entire center section has about 20 stories, that are past life memory stories from just different people, all kinds of different people. And I have a
Nice.
couple friends that submitted stories for it, and others who just joined the group. And you have everything from farmers in the 1800s in Europe to Egyptian connections to, you know, crystalline temples in Atlantis, and
Nice.
many different adventures that will help you as someone, exploring this on your own, to see the various different kinds of ways that people come about this experience and have them.
Mm. That what I like is that you integrate science
Thank you.
into everything because people think that spirituality is in one here, science is here, and they don't realize they're really interconnected.
Absolutely.
And
They have to be.
yeah, well, you hear a lot of people not agreeing with that one, but it is
Yeah, this
true.
is true. This is true.
But it is true. I mean, the first
Mhm.
people that started studying science, it was really spiritual.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
know,
mean, it used to be just called philosophy.
right?
And we were
Exactly.
trying to understand our experience of reality.
Right.
And
Right.
then philosophers became physicists mostly. And, the scientific method
Hmm.
was just a better way to question, test, prove, our process,
Hmm.
which works really well. And I use it all the time, actually, the scientific method and process. However, what kind of became a major crutch for the scientific world was the idea that unless you have an instrument to measure something, it
Hmm.
doesn't exist. Or
Hmm.
unless you have a specific way to see or to verify with an external technology or an object, then it doesn't exist. And that was a huge mistake because it immediately ignores the phenomenology of our human body. Our human body is the most sensitive technological instrument that exists on this planet. I
Hmm.
guarantee it.
Hmm.
And so when science kind of went away from the study of the subjective phenomenology and how that actually relates to everything,
Hmm.
that created a huge handicap.
Right.
And we're just now, because of quantum mechanics and the understanding of quantum fields, the way that consciousness influences random number systems, for example. Like, we've
Hmm.
proven that now over 40 years that consciousness influences random systems. That quantum effects and things change, technology changes, charge changes, spin changes, all kinds of things change through the application of our focused awareness and
Very
intent.
true.
And that is forcing the scientific world to come back to the table with the metaphysics world and say, actually, we've been studying the same thing. And in fact, we're way ahead of you in all of these areas because, you stunted your growth.
Right.
That being said, thanks. Good job for understanding electrical systems and building computers and all that stuff. Good job. Like, really well done. Rocket scientists, cool. But now it's time to take it to the next level.
Right. But it is, I am just happy to and grateful to see that people who are scientists are finally putting the both of them together. Because I kept
Me too.
saying the whole time, like, come on, I see it. You know,
Yeah.
I see you. This is this, and this is this, and both are A or both are B, and what are we doing here? So,
Exactly.
but you call it something else, and it becomes something else. So, it's the wording.
Yep. It's a
So
lot of
what?
reintegration.
Yeah. So what did your friends say, and your family as you were taking care of writing these books and all that other stuff?
Yeah, sure. Um, well, as I said, I'm fortunate to have very enlightened parents.
Mm-hmm.
And they, when I had past life experiences, they just heard me out. My dad actually handed me the Celestine prophecy when I was 15 after I told him I was feeling energy and seeing all these things. And I was like, okay, I got to break it to dad that I've like got these crazy experiences happening and I'm working with chi and I'm like learning how to move it through my body and stuff. And my dad was he was just like, amazing, I have a book for you. And he pulls out the Celestine prophecy and hands it to me. And that book, James Redfield's book there, and the whole series, that really gave me a sense of how a book can be a transformational experience,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not just like one, it should be really fun to read and interesting, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
exciting and like open your mind up to new things. But two, it teaches, it tells the story, it teaches, and it helps you open up your own life and your own self. And it was a lot of the inspiration of that led me to write these books, I think. And my friends, I mean, even my parents, when I had my galactic experience and met an extraterrestrial being and the Galactic Council, and I started becoming aware of exactly what's happening and that our entire planet is transitioning to become part of a galactic civilization.
Mm-hmm.
They had, it took them a while. It took them a while to digest it. Like they weren't sure what to think or what to believe about it. But over the years, they started sending me more and more things whenever they'd see, oh my gosh, there were just these guys on Larry King Live talking about spacecraft shutting down nuclear weapons. And then,
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, like there's this whole disclosure thing happening. And oh my gosh, there's people in Congress right now talking about spaceships and ETs and these different things. And so as over time, the world itself confirmed the truth
Right.
that I was sharing. And I think that that's also true for me with people with past life memory. At first, I meet friends sometimes and they're just like, huh, okay, yeah, you remember your past lives, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Were you Cleopatra? Like were you Alexander the Great kind of thing? And it's just like, no, I wasn't. And but I'll tell you exactly who I was. But then, as they get to know me and they see the way that I live, they see the
Mm-hmm.
skills that I have, and also sometimes it triggers them having memories. And when
Mm-hmm.
they start to have memories, um, wow, they feel like all of a sudden they're way out of their depth. And then suddenly they really respect this work so much more
Right.
because they realize like, oh yeah, no, this is something that actually does require cultivation and
Mm-hmm.
self-development and practice and overcoming your own egoic,
Mm.
limitations and desires. Because let me tell you, as soon as anyone has a memory from a time period like where Alexander the Great was, for example, or you
Mm-hmm.
think you saw him or whatever it was, it's it's the ego wants to say, I am Alexander the Great,
Right.
right?
Right.
And learning actually how to soften your hold on your assumptions
Mm-hmm.
and begin to discern the difference between the archetypal memories that
Mm-hmm.
happen because you're around super famous people, big energies, big world changing events.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we've all been around those events at different times. And when you're around events like that, it's massive and the archetype is so strong and the ego wants to attach to the top, the whoever is the most important person in that story.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that's your story. That means that you probably met them, you were part of that experience, you might have been in his army, you might have served him food, you could have cleaned the crap off his boots, for God's sakes. I mean,
Right.
that could be very intimate actually with
Right.
Alexander, right?
Right.
But your personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
your visceral individuated journey is a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of memory. That's the memory of losing a loved one. That's the memory of raising a child in a certain place and or things happening. That's the memory of being in battle and dying and or surviving. That's the place where your actual personal experience stream exists. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not the easy way. That's the harder way. That's the way of like actually facing your trauma, facing your karmas, facing your sanskaras, facing the pain you've created and have created in yourself. And when you are choosing to do that, when you actually put your healing work there, put your focus work there, that's where the big transformations really happen, because it opens so much more clarity and memory and skills and connections. And you will literally feel like a multiple of more energy coming into your being, into who you are right now, simply from cleaning up some of those memories in the past. So I talk about that process a lot in the book,
Mm-hmm.
Lifetimes, and it's an important part in navigating this. And also, there is also ancestral information inside of us, genetic
Mm-hmm.
information, and many
Mm-hmm.
people assume, oh, well, he's just probably talking about genetic memory, and that's all it is. But that's a different stream. There's actually three different streams. There's the archetypal field stream,
Mm-hmm.
there's the personal visceral soul stream of your lifetimes, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's also your genetic ancestral stream. And they are actually all different fields of memory and information, and it's possible to discern which is which.
Very good. Very good. Now, a little sidetrack. You're
Sure.
the co-founder of UNIFY.
Mhm.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. So back in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
well, the story of UNIFY really starts the year before in 2011. I had a couple friends who I know from past lives ask me to come and help lead a Jedi council in Ojai, California. And I love these brothers. So, when they're like, we're doing a Jedi council, we need you to help lead it, I'm going to say yes.
Right.
So I came to Ojai, showed up, and it was me and this brother, Alexander Fairman, who helped to lead that space and cultivate that council space and kind of organize the conversations. But I had a lot of deep, incredible connections and visions and relationships with all of the people there, because it was really like a council to discuss, how do we actually take back the planet? How do we actually create the vehicles we need for planetary stewardship?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the closest connections that I made while I was there was this gentleman named Adil Kassam. And Adil and I just jammed out, dropped in. He'd worked with Elevate Films and other things, and he wanted to create this sort of new version of Live Aid. and an experience of big concerts around the world, channeling money to impact with prayer, with meditation, to change the field.
Right.
And at the time, I was doing these things that I called global telepathic conjunctions. And I had a fleet of students, a few hundred around the world, that would join me for these experiences, where we would essentially have everybody do some kind of synchronized magic or meditation or creative focus.
Right.
And we would witness what happens from those creations. And we'd already done a few of these, including one that I did on Wall Street in New York, and worked with some brothers to shift some of the energy in that ley line, and the
Mm-hmm.
financial energy levels over into green and sustainable companies. And we all witnessed this incredible, massive ramp up of green and sustainability awareness, following that, including the release of Al Gore's movie not too long after that, that showed that there had been something that just shifted, and
Mm-hmm.
we had to consciously experience ourselves as being a part of that. So Adil and I were like, okay, like we should do this together. Let's work together. So he ends up reaching out to me later that year, and now it's 2012. Um, and he says, bro, I got a domain. It's unify.org. Like, we should freaking do this for like, and it's 2012, bro. So let's do it for December 21st, 2012. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yes, let's like bring together the planet. Let's create a global psychic connection, conjunction. Let's unify everybody. Let's do this. Let's go to the stars, like let's wake up the planet,
Right.
like critical mass. Let's go. And he's like, yes, absolutely. We just had this super, super high night riding around in my car in San Anselmo. I was living in the Bay Area at that time. And he tells me about his friend, Patrick Cronfley. And Patrick had been organizing these meditation mobs in different
Mm-hmm.
places. He had a lot of organizations that he was working with. Adil also had a network there. I also had networks of superheroes and orgs. And so we basically all joined forces, and Adil and I coordinated a local team, in the Bay Area in Marin, and started to build out the stuff. I did the first logo designs for UNIFY. Then I brought in another friend who did some really amazing work on that front. Um, and this little crew of powerhouses began to grow. And by December 21st, 2012, we had events planned in Chichen Itza, Stonehenge, Tokyo, Jerusalem, and a variety of other spots around the world. And I was with a couple hundred people, and collaborated with the Do Lab and this guy, Tamar, and a few others to create this whole big experience in Egypt at the pyramids.
Right.
And also not just do the December 21st, 2012 magic like at the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of that, but then also take all that energy down the Nile and do a series of ceremonies up the Nile, from the Isis temple all the way down to down closer towards Giza again. And so, yeah, that that was it. That was the launch. And it was absolutely amazing. We unified millions of people around the world in meditation, synchronized meditation. We
Mm-hmm.
bootstrapped a live broadcast from all of these different places around the world. I mean, I could tell you it was bootstrapped because we just
Mm-hmm.
had like little, thing that was connecting to the Verizon network, through in Giza, and we're like trying to run big camera stuff through it and capture like us at the pyramids at sunrise. That was the opening of the whole thing. And yeah, it was really, really a beautiful experience. And so Unify birthed something that I think truly is a deeply sustained movement. It's a movement of
Mm-hmm.
people who want to see the world become a better place, who are willing to meditate and to do the inner work for it, but also to show up and to do actual change making work on these
Mm-hmm.
sacred updates throughout the years. So we've done over 115 campaigns now. We've unified hundreds of millions of people. And 2016, we got a letter from the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, Raymond
Mm-hmm.
Chambers, saying that we reached over 2 billion people that year. So
Wow. It's
it's
beautiful.
really it's really a reminder to everyone that no matter how dark the story is that you're hearing, that they're telling you, no matter how rough it is when you're looking at social media and you see the political
Mm.
divisions and distortions and oh my gosh, all these people still think the earth is flat. Can you believe this crap? Like there's so many things that can make us feel like the world is not going in a good direction.
Right.
But honestly, that is noise. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth is the amount of people who are actually conscious, aware, and wanting to make the world a better place now it's insane. It's uncountable.
Mm-hmm.
So trust in that, because we are here. The fleet is here. The army,
Yep.
the people are here to make the world a
Mm-hmm.
better place. And we just have to transcend a lot of the disinformation campaigns and the media and the narratives and all the different things from both sides, red and blue and black and white and whoever the crap all over the world,
Right.
like Cambridge Analytica, hello everybody, they didn't disappear. It's like all of this stuff is just noise trying
Right.
to muck up our noosphere. And as long as we're doing the inner work and getting clear about who we are and how we can be of service, we've got this.
Definitely. I mean, even when I do a healing session, the first thing I tell them in aftercare instructions, turn off the TV, turn off social media for at least a few days.
Yeah.
Give yourself a break. Just detox also from all that. Uh,
Yep.
it's amazing. It really is amazing how the energy, just like good energy, travels through the internet and through the waves and all that. So does bad energy, right? So,
Yeah. And that all bad energy is, just for your listeners too, because as a physicist, I love to address this one.
hmm
It's it's harmonics, energy that's in harmonic communion, like coherence, harmonic coherence. That's like when you're listening to a song and it's beautiful.
hmm
And it's not that any note in the song is good and making it beautiful, right?
hmm
But when you listen to another song and it's out of harmony and it's clashing and it's like a train wreck between two songs that a DJ is playing, that feeling
right,
is bad energy. That's
right,
disharmonic energy.
right.
And it's not that any one of the instruments is bad. It's not that any one of the notes is bad. It's the combination that is in conflict
hmm
that is creating this experience and this feeling that feels really bad and that is bad, because it is essentially confusing our minds, confusing our fields, taking away our level of awareness.
hmm
And so even in the state of, the Jedi would say, even in the state of the greatest noise and the greatest conflict, if you can simply tune into where you are in harmony with
hmm
all of it and beyond all of it, pick the note that you're harmonizing with, pick the space that you're choosing to be in resonance with,
hmm
then all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how dark it is, you can transform it, you can change it, and literally redefine the reality around you.
hmm Very good. It's very true. I call it chaos, but you know,
Yeah.
but
Navigating the chaos
yeah, navigating the
and
chaos.
and finding harmony in the chaos, right?
Right. Yes. Because even in chaos, there is structure and there is some harmony. It just
Yeah,
depends on how it feels to you.
that's
Uh,
right. That's right. I like to look at nature for that one, because it's like nature can be so chaotic seemingly, right? And yet
hmm
there's this beautiful, perfect patterning
Yeah.
hidden inside all of it. Like,
So,
yeah.
hurricane right there.
Hmm.
But yet, the
Yeah.
structure and the way it appears and the way it forms and the way it disappears and what it does, it's just like there is some beauty to it, even if it's not so much fun, but there
Yeah,
is a beauty to it. So,
that's right.
what else would you like to tell our audience today?
Mm, well, yeah, if we're in wrap up, I would just, you know, say thank you for joining us, and thank you for exploring this kind of content. It's really important for us all to do at this time. I
Mhm.
hope that you get a chance to pick up my book. You can order
Yes.
it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's available in many places. And the Dragon Key, as I said, is available also at thedragonkey.com or also on Amazon.
Mhm.
And you can just search my name, Adam Apollo. And yeah, my work now is, as I'm going into these other releases and these other writings and stuff, I'm also producing some of the physics papers that fully and deeply define the relationship we have with the information field and the nature of this quantum network. And my work has taken me further and further and deeper into the space of understanding consciousness itself along the road. And as I've come to really get what consciousness is and how it operates and how it functions and how it's related to the structure of space time and the geometries in space time, how the chakras are all different interfaces. Like you can imagine them as one's a USB cable, that's your solar plexus, one's your power cable, that's your root. You got all these different aspects of you plugged in to the
Mhm.
field. And when you understand that and you understand these different layers of yourself, you start to be able to navigate energy and information much more proficiently. You can say, oh, yeah, okay, so that's an emotional field thing there. Oh, this is a mental program here. I'm going to go above that and sense the relational field, and you start to sort of learn how to multidimensionally navigate a little bit more like a Jedi, like a Magi.
Mhm.
And I teach a lot of that work in my schools, like the Guardian Alliance is one of my academies. That's at guardian.is.
Mhm.
Guardian is. And I've also taught in many, many other schools, both owned by friends and around the world, as well as online schools, and built different online schools. And at this stage, I'm just really focused on creating the effective sort of distribution and gamified network that can empower people to change every aspect of their own lives and make money doing it. Like, how do you eject from the matrix job and step into your power as a creator, create the things that you're meant to be here and create,
Mhm.
and make enough money from all of that that you're sustained and you're successful and you're capable of fulfilling your deepest purpose. And so for that end, my work is a project called Core Nexus. You can learn about that at core.nexus, CORE
Mhm.
.nexus. And that's been a major um let's say magical development in my life, and witnessing how this system can work to take us to the future planet that we want to be on. And yeah, and actually
That's
make those planetary transitions for the collective possible.
that's wonderful. Wonderful. All of your links will be in the description or are in the description, so
Great.
people can find you and find your
Thank you.
books definitely.
Thank you.
And I am sure that many of my people who watch or listen wherever they catch it will love to read more about you and how you have been able to take science and metaphysics and just combine and show the differences, but also the similars, so similarities. So
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. And if you
Thank
want
you,
to come back
Glenda.
anytime, please reach out and
Great.
just have a great one. And for
Sounds
those
good.
that are watching, please hit the like and share this because the more you share, the better you care, people. Come on. You never know what anybody needs to heal, to awaken, to start living their truth. So, and as always, I love you and see you next week. Bye. Thank you.
Aloha.